Welcome to my world, everyone. This is Like It or Not with Michael Lane. And Michael Lane is who I be. I'm going to read an email because I did a show, uh, and it was a show, and I was talking about stop comparing MLK to Barack Hussein Obama. Well, I like to call him Barack Insane Obama. I received an email from a cool guy, a great patriot. His name is Hiram, and he's from Montana. And he writes, Mike, I really enjoyed your show tonight. I agree with you for the most part, but MLK is closer to Barack Obama than you think. He was a socialist who was pro-abortion. He was 100% behind Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood. It scared me to find that out. So on that end, Michael, you are wrong. But I do commend you. You are a bold and great patriot. Thank you, Hiram. You are a great American, a wonderful patriot. I thank you for listening. This is not your first email. I notified you. I let you know that I will be responding to your email. All right, let's break it down. I'm not coming at you. I'm not. These things I'm going to say is going to be directed towards the lamestream media. The lamestream media has been pushing away the fact that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican, a great Republican, a great man. But there's a lot of things that the liberal media is trying to push. They're drawing all kinds of straws to try to paint him in another way, to let black people today who are uneducated, who don't know Dr. Martin Luther King, they only know him by quotes. They only know him by speeches. So they're trying to paint something about him that is not true. I will prove it. I will say this, though, Hiram. Some parts, you are right. Economically, he seemed to be a socialist. He tore down capitalism. He talks about right to hire. In other words, forcing them to give jobs. He talked about different things that were kind of on the progressive side, on the economic side. This is my comeback for that one. Yes, he had those thoughts, but don't forget, he was taken away from us far too early. He was only 38 years old when he was murdered. Now me, I'm a nobody, but I wasn't economically educated myself at that time. I believed in that. I thought that capitalism was the enemy. I thought capitalism was the cause for inequality economically. I didn't know. No one said that this great man, Dr. Martin Luther King, was an economic genius. Black people back then weren't getting the best education. Let's not kid ourselves, and let's not forget that. There was inequality in every section, and he was trying to find something. And don't forget, at some point he was looking to government to solve every problem because he didn't know how to really go about things in other ways. He was learning. And I know if he would have lived longer and he would have learned more, just like I did, about the economy, he would today, he would definitely have a different view. He would not say, he would talk about capitalism, he would talk about free market, free capital. He would talk about these things and he would be for it because it will be black people earning things and getting things done. Equal opportunity. He wasn't just for black folk. This was equal opportunity for each and every race. It was beyond a black and white issue. It was an all race issue. So I believe, and this is just my opinion, I believe he would have had a different stance had he lived longer, because he did learn in his last days not to trust government. He was used by Kennedy and others to win elections, and it just recently came out on a video, on a tape, that he was saying, hey, Kennedy didn't play a big part of me getting out of jail, but that lie propelled him to win and beat Richard Nixon in the elections. And that made the idea of the Democrats say, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't be overtly racist. Maybe we should play and pretend. And that was the whole beginning of the whole thing. The lies, deceptions, and we care about you and we love you. That was the beginning. Because LBJ said, I will have niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years. So they have to say that they care. Quickly. Let's talk about Planned Parenthood. Yes, he did back up Margaret Sanger. Yes, he did say that Margaret Sanger is doing a good job. And yes, he did say, I am fully down with Planned Parenthood. But this is the deception part. This is where it gets tricky. And the liberal media is saying that he is down with so-called reproductive rights. In 1963, Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood had a pamphlet, and I think it was called Is Birth Control Abortion? This was an anti-abortion pamphlet. In the 60s, they were deceptive. They were very deceptive. It wasn't until they came out with the truth and what they really are about until the 70s. That was way before Martin Luther King was gone. Now, before then, they were publicly, not privately, but publicly anti-abortion. Look it up. Look it up. It doesn't make any sense because a lot of people say that, well, he was progressive because he was against the death penalty. There's a lot of Republicans I know that are against the death penalty. Conservatives, Republicans, and libertarians, we don't necessarily agree 100%, but that doesn't make them less conservative or Republican. And so he was against that. So if he was against murderers and others being executed, why in the world would then he be pro-abortion? Doesn't add up. He founded Southern Christian Leadership Conference with Abernathy, Reverend Abernathy. They had many principles, but two of their main principles that stuck out with me was they were anti-abortion and they were against pornography. They were against anti-abortion and pornography. Pornography and alternative sexual lifestyle. That should tell you something about gay marriage and others. He wouldn't waste his time for that. If they weren't for it, I know the Reverend would say, hey, I'm for this. It doesn't make any sense. So let me read you a quote that these far-left liberals use to fool you. Martin Luther King said a while ago, he said, for the Negro, therefore, intelligent guides of family planning are a profoundly important ingredient in his quest for security and a decent life. There are mountainous obstacles still separating Negroes from a normal existence. Yet, one element in stabilizing his life would be an understanding of an easy access to the means to develop a family related in size to his community environment and to the income potential he can command. That was a quote from Dr. King. What is it that he said about abortion and reproductive rights? Nothing. You know what he was talking about? He was talking about being smart in family planning. That's what Planned Parenthood was preaching in the beginning. Even though they meant abortion, it was all a deceptive plan. But he said it many times. You can read other quotes from him, constantly saying family planning. He didn't say get rid of babies. He said family planning. That means keeping your legs closed and your pants up. Being smart within the size of the family and the economy. That's what he was talking about. Being smart, thinking about it. So he wasn't pro-abortion, brother. He wasn't pro-abortion, my brother. But we have to read between the lines. They are pushing this. Huffington Post, the Daily Coast, all these idiots are lying, saying that this man was pro-abortion. It's a lie, brother. It's a lie. Don't fall for this. They lied on the king. They're desperate. They're desperately trying to make this man a progressive liberal and equal to that fool in the White House. Or these fools that call themselves reverends. Because don't forget, Mr. Deceptive Reverend Jesse Jackson, he was anti-abortion. Right along with the rest of them. But it's funny what money can do. And when you get enough money, and I know Dr. King don't have those values, but when these reverends get, so-called reverends get money, they'll teach you anything. They'll deceive you on anything, just as long as they get paid. Dr. Martin Luther King didn't have limos and big mansions like these crooks do today, including the idiotic NAACP. Just a little thought, man. All right? Thank you for your email. I hope I did a little bit to get you unfooled from this crap that the liberal media is pushing. And also, don't just take my word for it. Do the research for yourself, all right? Much love to each and every one of y'all, man. That's the truth, like it or not.